Hey guys, this is Spartacus here, and today's video is going to be a special one because instead of playing Call of Duty, I am playing a game called Aimlabs, which is free to play over on Steam, and the whole point of it is to practice your aim when playing shooter games. And it's mostly meant to actually practice your aim using a mouse, and specifically games on PC like Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, and even Warzone for that matter. And so another thing I'd like to mention though, even though it's mostly meant to practice your aim using a mouse, you can actually plug in a controller and because the game does have controller support. So if you're someone who specifically only uses a controller, you can go ahead and plug your controller into your computer and practice that way if you really wanted to. Or if you're somebody who doesn't actually play first-person shooter games but instead you play third-person shooter games, there's also an option to where you can change it from a first-person perspective to a third-person if you really want to. So you could be someone who plays Fortnite, for example, and you want to get better at aiming. Well, maybe that will be a better way to actually practice when going over to Aimlabs. Also, this game is very sophisticated when it comes to focusing on different areas of your aim. There's different sections in the tasks area where it focuses on speed, precision, flicking, cognition, all these different things to help you become a better first-person shooter player, or I guess third-person shooter if you really want to enable that setting. But still, it focuses on pretty much every aspect of when it comes to shooter games to help your aim improved the best it can possibly be. And so the gameplay you guys are actually watching right now is essentially my first time playing. I say that in air quotes just because it isn't necessarily my first time playing, but it's my first time playing, and throughout the long play session I had throughout multiple days of actually practicing my aim, and eventually I'm going to show some gameplay of what my aim is like currently. And spoiler alert, I actually didn't get that much better at aiming, and we'll talk about that later in the video, why my aim might not actually be better than what it is in the previous footage that you're seeing. But anyway, it's very sophisticated. It focuses a lot of different areas on how to actually improve your aim. It shows the type of accuracies, like the different areas in front of you, like which areas you're most accurate at compared to other areas. So maybe when you move your hand a specific way, maybe you're not as accurate that way when you move your hand in another direction. I don't know. It's very sophisticated that way, and I really like it. Also, there are leaderboards in this game, so there are like different types of scores you can go and actually try to actually complete and get your new personal record, and they can be tracked on this like global leaderboard. However, the people at the top global leaderboard, I don't know if they're either like hacked the game to where they can just be on the top, or if they actually have like superb aim, I should say, because there's definitely people out there that I've seen, especially when it comes to clips like on Twitch or YouTube live streams, people just have insane aim. Like, there's no joke. There's people out there who just have insane aim, and I want to get to that point. That would be amazing if I could have aim like that, because that will just make you one of the best top players in the entire world if you can have some aim like that. But anyway, yes, it's going to take a long time to actually get good at using a mouse, especially if you're first starting out just like myself. And I feel like it's really important to make this video just because there might be a lot of you out there who do want to get better at aiming using a mouse, but right now you're just currently not doing that good. And so I feel you guys, like I feel for you, because I am having trouble myself. It is very difficult for me to actually aim using a mouse, and it's even moving around using a keyboard, because I've been playing controller my whole life, and I've been contemplating if I should just stick with controller. Like, I could still play PC games but just plug in my controller. I've been really contemplating on like how I actually want to play games in the future, and especially on what platform, if it's going to be on my PC or on my Series X. And right now I've been playing on my mouse and keyboard a lot more recently, just because I know if you can get really good aim using a mouse, then there's no point of going back to a controller. But I'm just so used to a controller, you guys, so I'm trying to switch them. Now I'm in the middle here where I'm not good on controller or mouse and keyboard just because I haven't touched a controller in so long, and I'm trying to learn a totally new strategy on like trying to play games using mouse and keyboard. But either way, going back to Aimlabs here, a feature that I really like is that it shows a chart of a bunch of bubbles, and there's actually 176 of these bubbles, and each bubble represents a different day. So every time you log into Aimlabs and you start playing, that bubble that you're currently on will actually become brighter the more you play Aimlabs. And so the brightest bubble that you get is obtained if you play for like about an hour. That's something that I've noticed. I've been playing this so much lately, and I realized that if you're playing Aimlabs for about an hour, then that day that you're playing on, you're going to receive the highest or the brightest bubble in this case. So yeah, at some point I would love to fill the entire chart just filled with the brightest colored bubbles, showing that I've been playing every day, and just kind of want to see my progress from beginning beginning to end to see how much I've actually improved. And of course, I could just Photoshop it for you guys and lie to you saying I've been playing every single day, but I don't know if I really want to fool you guys. But anyway, yeah, going back to the tasks and how many different tasks there are. So there's a bunch of different tasks in the game. Each one usually lasts around a minute long, which isn't that bad. There are a couple that might last a little bit longer than a minute, especially one in the cognition section that actually lasts like I think a minute and 25 seconds. But each one lasts a minute long. It's just continuously of you just aiming and shooting different bubbles, or in some cases you might be tracking bubbles, which are ones I recommend when it comes to actually playing on this game, because I believe that the best way to actually become a good mouse and keyboard player, especially with first-person shooter games, is tracking. Tracking is something that I have such a hard time doing when I use a mouse. On a console, I'm pretty good at tracking, but I guess I'm using a controller in that case. But on PC, when I use a mouse as my like input setting for when I play games, I have a really hard time tracking enemies. And so they actually have an option to where that focuses on tracking, and so you just have these bubbles, and so instead of shooting them, you can just track on them, and it really shows like your accuracy percentage at the end of like how long you've been, I guess, like on target essentially. And so tracking, I think, is very important, especially if you're someone who plays Call of Duty like myself. Like tracking enemies is going to be huge if you can master that, especially when it comes with using a mouse. And of course, there are other types of like tasks that involve tracking, but you actually have to shoot the bubbles. There's so many different ones, you guys, and you can actually create your own if you really wanted to as well. And there's also different settings on like different guns you can use. In the gameplay, I'm always using the Deagle because I just love using that gun, but there are like fully auto weapons and other ones that you can use. There's also different skins you can use for each gun, but some of them requires you to actually pay for them, but I don't really see the point in doing that because I'm just here to practice. I'm not here to have cool fancy gun skins, if I'm just like trying to practice my aim here. So yeah, and you can also change your different backgrounds. Like there's just so much you can do. There's so much different customization when it comes to actually trying to practice your aim. And like I said already, you can make your own if you really want to. So maybe there's a task that's not already there that you think will actually benefit you when it comes to playing first-person shooter games, and so you can just create your own and practice that yourself, and of course share it with others if you really wanted to. So I guess that really just goes down to the main question here: does Aimlabs improve your aim? Because I've been playing this for quite some time now. I've been trying to play every single day, but some days I'm just not able to, and like when I really just want to play video games, I don't really have that much time in the day. I'll just kind of skip my training for Aimlabs and just go straight into Call of Duty because I just don't want to waste an hour of just trying to practice. So my biggest recommendation is really try and do this every day if you can. Like sometimes I'm not going to be able to, and like we just get busy sometimes. So if you can't do it on a certain day, like don't really sweat it too much. However, does it really improve your aim? I believe this really does. Like this is a really good way to actually practice your aim. I know there's other games out there that are just like this that you can practice your aim on, but it actually requires you to actually pay for the game. However, Aimlabs is free, so I highly recommend getting this instead, just so you don't have to spend a dime to actually train yourself to become a better first-person shooter or have better aim in first-person shooter games. And so I really do believe this can actually improve your aim as long as you're practicing every single day. And one thing that's really unfortunate is that I guess if you compare the gameplay at the beginning of this video, where I guess I quote-unquote first started my play session trying to play every single day, to the gameplay you see now, where this is why I currently am when it comes to my aim. There probably isn't that big of a difference, and you might actually think that my aim has actually gotten worse over time, and part of me actually does believe that because I'm not getting any more high scores anymore when I play each task, because like you can get different high scores for each task. I haven't got a high score in such a long time. I really do believe my aim is getting much worse for some reason, and I don't really know why. I don't know if I have some sort of trauma in my hand that just doesn't allow me to like have smooth aim for some reason. And there's also times where I go into Aimlabs and I'm like so shocked like how good I aim. Like I just have good and bad days, I guess, but I feel like I'm mostly having bad days, which is really not good. But I do have good days sometimes, and with those good days I'm just like so impressed like how good my aim actually is when playing it. And man, it just kind of varies, like of course that's also can happen with using a controller as well, I suppose. And yeah, I highly recommend giving it a go if you're someone who wants to practice using mouse and keyboard and just get better at first-person shooter games like Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege. This is like a perfect game to actually play because like just the way the gameplay controls work in Aimlabs is so catered to Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege and just other first-person shooter games on PC specifically. So anyway, give it a go, you guys. I highly recommend it. I've been using it a lot. I'm still going to try and do it every day. Hopefully at some point in the future, I'll actually be able to play play Aimlabs 176 days straight, so that way I can fill that entire chart with those bright bubbles. That is my goal in the future, so hopefully that will actually happen. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos every single day, and I shall catch you guys later.